Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the new ATCC webinar presented by Guillermo Meyer, VP of Business Development at Globant, one of our corporate members at the Argentina-Texas Chamber of Commerce. The webinar today is titled Tech Trends in Oil and Gas. In this webinar, we will explore the application of current tech trends to drive efficiency and innovation in oil and gas industry. I am Ariel Bocio, Vice President of the Chamber, and I will be the moderator. The Argentina-Texas Chamber of Commerce is an independent, non-profit, voluntary membership organization founded in 2016 with the goal of promoting invest, trade, education, and networking opportunities between Texas and Argentina. We have chapters in Houston, Dallas, Austin, Buenos Aires, and Neuquén. And we have business committed that are energy and engineering, health, technology and innovation, food and beverage, and real estate. Regarding our speaker today, Guillermo is Vice President of Business Development at Globant with over 25 years of experience spanning multiple industries. Guillermo is a renowned consultant and technologist who specializes in digital transformation strategies. He excels at harnessing cutting-edge technology and methodology to elevate innovation within organizations. Now, I would like to express the recognition to our global gold members, Pan American Energy, Globant, Duralite, PCR, ProShale, Mayer Brown, Codavan, Practia, Marval, and AESA. So before starting, three important things. The first one is to say thanks to Guillermo because he is offering us this webinar, and we are really glad to have him here to explain us about the future of oil and gas. Second, is important to talk about the organization of the webinar. So first, Guillermo will deliver the presentation that it will last about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And after the presentation, we are going to have a question and answer session. In order to prepare the question for that session, what you will need to do is to go to the Zoom Q&A chat, and there start to post the question as we are moving forward with the webinar. So in that way, when we start the Q&A, we already have a question there, and Guillermo can address them. So having said that, well, let's enjoy the webinar, and don't forget to post the question in the Q&A session. Thank you, Guillermo. Let's kick off.
Okay, thank you so much, Ariel. Okay, so okay, you already introduced me, and so today we are going to talk about the tech trends that we see as Globant that are happening in this year, and how these trends apply to the oil and gas industry. So Ariel already introduced me, but a little bit of background. I'm a technologist. I work with technology for more than 25 years, always from the service industries, right? So I provide professional services for IT for different companies. So in the last couple of years, I have been at Globant for 2.5 years, working for business development in Latin America, and I was exposed to many industries, and one of them is where we have been working with Globant on focus on energy industry, initially on the upstream side of the house, but also on the utilities and the rest of the ecosystem of the energy industry. So let me explain this slide. Hopefully this is like some funny slide that is intended to show a geek or nerd way to explain what we're going to talk today. This is like a Java code that is not compiling, right? But the idea of this is we are going to talk about these 4 technology trends. The first one is AI, the second metaverse, the third blockchain, and the fourth foundational technology that is mostly what we said low code and no code. And for each one of these trends, we're going to have an overview of the trend, what we see and implications as what is going on in the industry on a broader industry, and then a specific use case for oil and gas, right? So this is how the structure of the presentation is today. Okay, so let's start. Let's start on AI and the discovery of the and how AI is embedded in our everyday situations. So again, uh, this is a funny way to say, okay, again, this guy is going to talk us about what AI is. I'm sure you have been in many presentations regarding to artificial intelligence. Today we are in hype of that. But mostly we can say that AI is um, a domain into the technology industry that is driven by mimicking or doing what humans can do, but from computational models. But is a type of computational domain that mostly is used to scale what humans can do by their arms, right? So um, when we talk about AI, and in the last year, actually next month it's going to be one year for ChatGPT to come into the spotlight for everyone here. We will talk about this in a minute, uh, but this is what you typically see, right? So we are now looking at the AI from the eyes of ChatGPT as it is something new, but it's not new. The AI per se, it has been, and I'm sure many of you has been exposed to AI for a long time, right? So there are another type of algorithms and models that maybe in this analogy below the sea, right? That you don't have a direct exposure, like clustering models, time series, decision trees, to name some of them. But today we are looking into the GPT that is front-facing and interacting with people, right? So um, uh, this is what is called today the generative AI. And the generative AI is a type of AI, right? That is also called the large language models. That is a way, is a model that actually takes a lot of information, is trained with that information using, we will talk in a minute about the transformers, in this case for GPT, and is able to create new assets, right? So you can use Gen AI to create digital images, you can create audio, you can create videos, you can create text, right? So you put one input and you receive a creation based on the output of the model. So it's like the creativity that somebody could even have, right? So it's not it's deterministic, right? So it may provide different things as you use that model. So that's very important to understand, depending on the use case that we can leverage this technology. The ChatGPT actually is, as you already know, is one form of the one model for LLMs, large language model, that the model is per se is the GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, and the big discovery was the transformer, right? So the transformer allows to process huge amount of information fast enough to make it happen in our lifetime, right? And put that at the hand of the people through a chat interface, right? So you may see ChatGPT like a model that is trained with all the data that the humans have digitized and written uh, from the early of the digitization until 2021, right? So imagine all the information compound and exposed through this model. It's made by OpenAI, that is one company, right? There are others like You may have heard about BART from Google, is the version of LLMs for Google. But we also can see some risk on using this technology, right? I will not walk through all of them, but one of them is the hallucinations, right? Or all data. You may ask something to this Gen AI technology and reply something that may have no sense, but may looks like a truth, but may not be a truth, right? So that's one point very important. The other is the bias, right? So sometimes there's a big effort for the companies to remove the bias of this type of AIs based on trainings and post trainings, right? On top of the models. The legal exposure, right? So sometimes there's some fears, and some of them are real, that information that you publish may be used by something different, but to train and expose information. So all these risks are true, but what is also true that today the people is using this, right? So all of us are using this technology to do our daily jobs, and if companies does not control or provide governance on top of this, maybe exposed to the previous risk we mentioned. And on the other side, whoever doesn't use this technology will be in disadvantage. So it's part of the foundation of our life, and needs to adopt that in order not to lose versus the competition. They also, we also may say that the AI has been ubiquitous for a long time. Even when you write documents or when you do the Google searches, you are using AI. The point is, AI has been in the back seat, now it's in the front seat. We see or we interact with AI, understanding and knowing that we are doing that. Before of that, we didn't even knew that, right? Or was not so obvious. And finally, we think that it's actually a role changer versus a job replacer. Actually, some jobs eventually may be replaced in the future, like any, with any type of technology that can disrupt that. But we see that like a potential for helping people to do more things with less time, or be more productive, and eventually change the role of the human, using the AI as employees of our humans, and we can monitor and validate what they do. Now, regarding to the oil and gas industry, we have many use cases. There are a lot of things that we can do. One thing is, for example, the reservoir modeling. I mean, maybe creating models for the oil and gas reservoirs with the seismic data, well logs, or other data sources that you can collect, and use that to ask questions or to validate and optimize production operations. You can do for equipment maintenance, where you can use and monitor the performance of an equipment, and make some predictions of maintenance for the future. Production optimization, again, you can optimize the production operation by, I don't know, analyzing data from sensors, production logs, and other sources, identifying patterns and correlations using this AI. For safety and asset optimization, you can also use that. Safety, I don't know, using the safety condition, monitoring safety conditions by analyzing sensors and other sources. The optimization of asset simulation modeling, for example, is another use case, or environmental and monitoring connected maybe to safety management can complement each other. So I will not deep dive in all of them, but hopefully this intro can bring you some ideas on how you can apply this technology for the different use cases, right? So the second trend we're going to talk about is the metaverse, right? So metaverse has been something that was in the hype actually last year. This year has been a little diminished, but our point of view is it will revamp and take a big moment in the near future. The metaverse as per se has many definitions, but all correlate and concentrate in it's a shared virtual 3D environment that actually extend the presence of physical companies into the digital world, where they can do immersive or collaborative interaction between people. The metaverse is the confluence of the social, economics, and technology changes, the social perception of reality, how people see themselves, how people interact, and the over-evaluation of the individualisms like, I don't know, TikTok filters or Instagram stories, right? So people expose their social and interact with people that may be connected to an avatar, right? On the economic, the creative economy, creating digital assets that can be sold or or leveraged in this type of environments. And the technology side, not only the AI and the cloud and the power of computing, but also the blockchains and the devices for virtual reality and augmented reality are also boosting this the confluence of these forces into the metaverse. But the metaverse is something that has the characteristics that we see here, right? First, you can have a virtual identity that can be customized, connected to the social perception as we talked before. There's experiences and where you have a community of people, where you have creators and contributors and consumers all collaborating. Other important thing is persistent. It's not something that is transient, that when you shut it down, it's gone and reset. So it happens and exists in real time. So imagine a parallel world, a parallel digital world where what you do now, you log off, and when you log on again, what has been there is continuing there and is growing and evolving. You can host people from different places and different audience of different size simultaneously and interoperate between them. Also, there's typically a sustainable economy that can produce richness or money or something within it and can sustain. And sometimes it's also combined physical and virtual worlds, right? So again, we see the metaverse like an ecosystem, right? So you have experience, you have creators, you have discoveries, you have spatial computing, you have human interface, how you interact, and what is the infrastructure it runs. So it's the collection of all of this created the new internet, the internet 4.0, right? So it's the new way to interact with people. So one point here I would like to highlight as part of the metaverse is the devices that are the headsets. We see here on the left the Meta Quest, in the middle the Microsoft HoloLens, and on the right the last one announced by Apple, the Vision Plus. Why I'm saying this, because as I said, the metaverse is like the internet, but of places, of extended physical places in the digital world. Imagine the internet, traditional internet. You experiment and interact with the internet using mobile phones or web browsers, right? So, but the web browsers and the mobile phones are not the internet. It's a way for you to consume and interact with the internet. So if you don't have the browsers and you need to use, I don't know, command line scripts to query the internet, you still have the internet, but the experimentation and the experience of the end user for the internet is very pure. So the same happened with this. The metaverse exists by consuming, I don't know, using a web browser. You can interact with a 3D in a 2D flat screen, right? But the most engaging way to do that is using these devices. So what I see here is devices are like the browser for the internet. Devices are for the metaverse, what the browsers are for the internet. It's a way to experiment. These devices are not the metaverse. It's a way to interact. So as the technology progresses and goes straight to reduce the price and be more massive for the people, that's when the metaverse will boost again and people will start interacting with this new technology or platform. So we are starting seeing new applications in real life now, like for example, mostly on training education, right? So this is what is starting doing. We are working with a company, for example, that is this is a startup company that is using VR and metaverse technologies to analyze the safety or the behavioral of the people, of the employees for safety purposes. For example, they analyze the decision-making process, their security understanding, the way they interact with the different situations. So that conductual behavioral the platform do a testing of that and provides a suggestion to retrain or evolve that person, so that will reduce the risk, right? So that's mostly where companies are doing today. And again, it's a change of paradigm, like the internet was in the 2000s. Today and tomorrow will be the metaverse. Now, going to how can we use metaverse for oil and gas industry? The first very obvious is the digital twin, right? So creating a digital representation for facilities where you can use IoT to feed that information into the digital twin model and experiment that digital twin using the VR or augmented reality as well, technologies for that. The other is the collaborative and design simulation. You can use places on the metaverse where you can combine people from different parts of the world to work together in a collaborative environment to do design and simulation of the processes, as we said before, for training and development and evaluation of people to boost the safety. The remote inspection and monitoring, you can use the digital twin technology applied to a specific, I don't know, wells that you want to monitor and inspect, and use VR to be there without being there, right? Also, you can use for supply chain optimization, mostly, I don't know, to optimize the visibility of the supply chain through augmented reality, remote operations similar to remote inspection, and carbon capture and storage. Sorry, you can use that again as let's imagine that you can use augmented reality to see into a facility and overlay the vision with the carbon footprint that the device is creating, right? So, I mean, the sky is the limit to imagine the potential uses of this, but I think you have the idea here. Now, heading into the third one, now the third one trend we are going to talk is the blockchain, right? So, I will not go in too much detail, but blockchain is the technology behind the crypto currencies, right? But it's blockchain is not the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency. Blockchain is the technology behind that. You can do an analogy between the internet, the applications like email or web versus the protocol that powers the internet, that is HTTP, for example, right? Or TCP. The protocols, the HTTP, the TCP, are the engines that creates the applications that is what we use. So the blockchain is this protocol, this is the operating system, right? So it's a peer-to-peer network of distributed nodes. There's no central authority that has the information, but you can think it's like a distributed database, right? Where each node has a replica of all the transactions that are going on, and the particularity of this transaction are append only. You cannot delete any record. You can, it's a tamper proof. You cannot make any changes on that, and you can do a verification of who has made that, and that hasn't changed after it has been there. The other important point is the consensus, right? So each record that is stored has a consensus of all the nodes. And there's a couple of other concepts that is the smart contracts. Smart contracts are how you can add logic on each one of these records with you can do business processes with the smart contracts. And the NFTs, non-fungible tokens, actually is a way to create a digital asset based on this technology where you can create something physical that is unique. You can do that uniqueness also here. Let me put a quick example for people who are not familiar with blockchain. Blockchain is like, let's think it's the notary books where you have your entries in the notary book, and you cannot remove any pages of the notary book. So let's suppose that you have a lot of notaries, right? Each one with his books. They all agree on something. They are okay with that. Everyone writes that into the notary book, all write the same, okay? They cannot change, they cannot delete, and that's proof because it's from a notary. Each time they finish a page, they flip the page and write starting the next one, and they cannot remove the pages. Okay, each one of the sentences in the pages is a transaction, and each page is a block, right? And it's replicating, and so it's very, very important to understand the value of this technology provides to and enables a new ways of doing business. You don't need a central database that everybody need to trust about. The trust is divided between each one of the nodes. The point here regarding to blockchain, you may have heard about the Web 3.0. What the blockchain enables is to create the owner's economy, right? So the internet 1.0 was read-only, right? The initial, the Yahoos, even the Googles initially, the Lycos, most of them are already gone, right? The Web 2 is the read-write, where you can interact and post things in typically the social networks. And the Web 3 is where you own the data. In the Web 1 and Web 2, the Googles, the Microsoft, the Facebooks owns your data. They owns the data, and you produce data to them. In the Web 3, you own your own data. Each person has that into the blockchains, right? So all this connects to we see we are starting seeing experiences today using the blockchain, mostly for physical experiences using the NFTs. Blockchain is not new. It's not a trend of 2023, but it's something that is going on technology for a long time. And this year, it started to take some momentum. Initially, the non-fungible tokens have a huge hype, I think last year, mostly on the art, digital art, but now they are moving to another type of application to digitize and create digitization versions of, I don't know, flying tickets or specific contracts or documents, right? But the most impacted companies will be on financial services, gaming, and entertainment industries. But we're going to see some use cases as well for oil and gas regarding to blockchain. The first one, I'm very again the blockchain as a distributed database that is composed by nodes of an ecosystem where you have competitors that they don't trust each other. You can use the blockchain for the supply chain management to create a node of the blockchain for each one of the parties of the supply chain, where you may have yourself, your partners, your providers, your customers. Everyone are part of that supply chain. So that's one One way you can create a tamper-proof database of transaction of what's going on and manage that, even using the smart contracts, right? So the smart contracts just to create the agreements between the parties into the blockchain. You can use that to do certification and validation. I don't know, for authenticity of documents or certifications such as permits or licenses of safety certificates. You can use that for that. For asset tracking as well, as a tamper-proof record, you can assess the ownership, maintenance story, and other relevant data of the assets. You can use that for I don't know, something that has been happening, the carbon credits training, right? So you can use these platforms to put the carbon credits to be traded on the decentralized marketplaces, right? And incentivize that, the reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions of the oil and gas industry. And finally, in this case, there are many more use cases. Your royalty and revenue distribution, for example, to automate the process of calculating and distributing royalties and revenues to shareholders in the complete ecosystem. This distribution based on the smart contracts that you can agree and use the tamper-proof solution for that. Good. This is the last one. I think we are good on time. The last one is not very, it's not something completely new, but it's new as well. What the smart efficiency is mostly to the trend of low code and no code. And also the super application or super apps as part of that. The low code and no code is a technology that mostly creates platforms, or is a platform that helps organizations to develop technology solutions without the need of a very specialized IT people, right? So typically you can build applications fast, right? With a typical visual creation with drag and drop. And what the figure that comes here is what is called the citizen developers. So you will not need only on IT to do things. And it comes to solve a problem that typically exists in a lot of companies, that is called the shadow IT. The shadow IT is where business areas, non-IT areas, create a software or technology solution that is outside the domain or the governance of the IT, and typically has their own life, right? This shadow IT creates a lot of inefficiencies and cost than when IT department is trying to grab this. Is very, very complex. So this type of platforms puts on the hands of the business people a way to create solutions, right? Fast, even with no code. There's solutions. We at Globant, we have a solution called Genexus that actually creates code, right? So the code, the technology code that is created for building an application is created automatically, but you can talk or chat with this platform and say, hey, I want an application that do this, and that. You provide the requirements. This connects to the AI, right? So you provide the requirements and the platform creates an application for that. So it's no code. You don't need to code. It's created automatically by the platform. So that's very important to understand. And what is this fast code or low code, no code approach is being here for companies that wants to continue to deliver the technology solution to the customer, but they have a restriction on the revenue, and they will spend less money or the same budget they have to do more things, right? So the low code and no code tools also are moving on. It's a new way for the IT technology to start developing applications. It's I think low code, no code is not something new. We have been working with that type of tools for a long time, but now with the disruption of the artificial intelligence and the generative AI, as we talked at the beginning, it's getting stronger and changing the industries, and the IT industry is not an exception of that, right? So, and last but not least, the low-code platforms isolates the technology that is generated behind the scenes for the changes. So you keep working on the knowledge and the knowledge base of what you have to do on the business side, and the code and the technology that is generated uh, is abstracted from you. So as the technology evolves, the platform evolves, and you don't need to change your application over and over again. That typically happens. So we expect this type of approach will have the forever young code, right? So you will not have legacy applications in the future. You will have knowledge in these tools, in this platform. This knowledge is provided by business users. You don't need IT, and the platform will transform this knowledge into a technology application that somebody can use, right? So hopefully it was understood. But again, you may think how this connects to oil and gas industry. Okay, for doing technology solutions for paper or manual work, like workflow automation. You can automate repetitive tasks using this. You can use that for digital asset management. Imagine using all what we talked before, but now you provide a way for users to interact and access your technology using these type of platforms. The predictive maintenance, the reporting and analytics, you can create quickly reports, doing reporting for compliance and regulatory. And again, the smart contracts connected to the previous one on the blockchain, you can use create the mobile apps or the solutions for the end users to interact. In closing, and I want to show here the big picture of the 4 things we have seen. We have seen the AI here in the center, where we may have use cases for reservoir modeling, planning, engineering, and different things. I mean, this is the brain. We may connect here the physical world into the digital world, into a metaverse. So creating digital twin technologies and using VR or AR for your employees to do collaborative design and simulation training, right? And of course, they can interact with AI as part of the metaverse. Everything is transacted and stored into the blockchain for certification and validation, and using smart contracts to interact with the ecosystem of your supply chain and the royalty and revenue distribution here. Smart contracts also interacting with AI as part of the brain. And finally, the super app are the low code solutions for end users to interact with the technology ecosystem for workflow automation, reporting, and digital asset management. So hopefully this makes sense as the forest view of each one of the 3 we have walked through. So that's it. I think we are good in time, right, Ariel?
Yes, perfect, Guillermo. Guillermo, thank you very much for this overview. I know that it is really challenging to talk about all these different emerging technologies in just 40 minutes. So I'm glad that you could do it and in an excellent way. So now let's open the question and answer. We have several in the chat, but before going there, I would like to make you a question that I think that is a good transition to a specific question. So in general, all these emerging technologies are there, available in the market, and they are very promising. However, my question is, how should we prepare our companies to accelerate this emerging technology adoption? So what do we need to
Yeah,
do internally in order to really use them? Because they
yeah,
are not in general plug and, that we can take it and use it. There are a lot of things that need to be right in our companies so we can really incorporate them.
yeah. The good question, Ariel. the first thing I would suggest is to start with understand how these technologies can provide a concrete value for your company, right? So identify a use case. It's not doing the technology per se, but how this technology can help to resolve a specific problem, right? Let's suppose the AI, right? So how can I use AI to solve, I don't know, a problem when you want to look into a well and look into the history of what has happening in that wells to make decisions. And that information, I don't know, is written in a open wells or in a transactional system in a lot of text that you need somebody to do. Okay, that's a use case. The first thing is find that use case and understand the KPIs and the value it provides. The second is find a way to do an experimentation or a testing and try that hypothesis. You don't need to build a huge project because we are in restricted time. We are in economics challenges, right? So you need to invest money where you really think is going to have a return. So the second thing is, okay, once I have my hypothesis of the use case, I will try and test it cheap and fast, right? So, and that's where you need to boost and leverage existing platforms and accelerators to do that quick and and not start from scratch, right? Once you have proven that technology resolves that hypothesis and makes a proof of the value it provides, then you can think on scaling up and creating a business case and creating a project to make it scalable and propagate the benefits to the whole company. So that's typically, and it's not specific for this technology, it's how I would onboard any type of adoption of any technology or any processes. I don't know if that makes sense, Ariel.
Yes, excellent. And thank you for the insight. Now let's go to questions that in the Q&A session in Zoom. So the first one is from Rafael Migliaro. He said, quantum computers on regarding quantum computers, on what day will they enter the market and what impact would they have?
Yeah, okay. I quantum is a very hot topic and attractive topic. Hopefully, we will have that in the next session. I would like to have a session on that. Actually, as you may know, the quantum introduced the concept of qubits that actually typical computing has ones and zeros, right? So the qubit, that's the bits, and the qubits can have a combination of 10 and a range of 10. So that creates a potential of use of the quantum computing and potential of execution of use cases that today are impossible for traditional computing, even though there are some functions for quantum computing that are better for the traditional computing or current computing. So we see in the short term, at least, on the midterm of the quantum here, a combination of course, quantum computing specific for some use cases. I don't know, the AI processing eventually, right? So processing tons and tons of information, but for transactional processing, the specific the traditional computing will keep here. How they're going to go to the market? Google has that, and Microsoft is doing their work. I mean, there will be hopefully in the next years we will start seeing these computers that are already in early stages and being available by some companies, but being more adopted on specific use cases. That will change also the security landscape, right? On the cryptography again, but I don't have a date for sure, but it's coming. Yeah.
Okay, the next question is from Juan Romero. Are there currently AI implementation in oil and gas industry in Argentina? What type of implementations?
Yes. There are I mean, again, the AI is not new. a lot of years, people has been working with AI. The point is, with traditional AI or the previous AI models, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the SLBs or Halliburton or all the big companies with oil and gas solutions already has AI as part of the solution. The point is, when you have a traditional AI, typically AI process, you need the a lot of data from your side. You need a data scientist to analyze the data, to create the models, to maybe, I don't know, weeks and months of work creating your own model to do that. That still is going to happen for some specific solution. The difference here is the generative AI that is like a human doing interpretation of information. Is a different use case, right? So let's suppose you have to read contracts or documents that are certifications of your yards, right? And you need to read hundreds of documents and make and find a specific information and make a correlation of data. That's the type of generative AI models that you can now use more simple and faster. So implementations in the Argentina industry everywhere. AI has been everywhere, so it's not new. Using Gen AI is something that oil and gas companies in Argentina are start to work with, using their own version of ChatGPT within the companies to resolve specific use cases for our Argentinian needs. I don't know, in Vaca Muerta. I mean, for the different wells. It's starting to happen as we speak. Again, this Gen AI has been for 1 year over now. Yes.
Thank you, Guillermo. And one more, also from Joan Romero. What are the most mature low-code or no-code ecosystem currently?
Okay, there are many. One is for example, Microsoft, the Power Apps ecosystem is one of them. So you have there a lot of solutions to build that type of application. Other one is, for example, from ServiceNow, the Now platform. You can build on top of ServiceNow your application with low code. OutSystem is another one that provides the platforms to develop applications with drag and drop and visual design. Mendix is another one that is a competition of OutSystem. We do have at Globant one is GeneXus that generates code based on knowledge, right? So maybe some difference. For example, the Azure or ServiceNow, you need to run on Azure Power Apps, Azure Cloud, and ServiceNow Cloud, right? OutSystem and Mendix are platforms that has the runtime, but you can deploy maybe in different clouds, but they also have their own cloud. GeneXus, for example, you don't have a runtime. You create code and you can deploy GeneXus on premise, on the cloud, for GCP, Azure, AWS, or wherever. So depending on what you need is the ecosystem for low code that you may need. So yes, hopefully that helps.
Okay, and I have one more from Bruno Salvador Oliva. What uses do you know about this technology in supply chain area and also in vehicle tracking?
Well, in the supply chain area, we have been working on the blockchain. We have been working with some colleagues here at Globant on using the blockchains to run on the complete ecosystem of the supply chain and creating these transactions and different nodes for each one of the participants of the supply chain, and also to work on the fracking and the production of the wells with the ecosystem of providers. So we can articulate the contracts that are signed between the different parties working on the fracking process, and use the smart contract to orchestrate and correlate each one of them, quantifying their KPIs and automating that process for the payments and the confirmation of the works, right? So that's some areas where we have been working on that. On the and using AI again, we have been doing using that to analyze on the generative AI, mostly the non-structured data, mostly analyzing documents and correlating documents and connecting the well's history to understand, to make decisions, right? To provide the company man some decisions when dealing with the information.
Okay. Well, Guillermo and the audience, thank you very much. Guillermo, very kind, very broad your explanation regarding all the technology. So we really appreciate your participation and your kindness in order to share all this knowledge with us. For the audience, thank you for joining us. We hope you to continue attending the rest of the Argentina-Texas Chamber activities. Have a wonderful day, and well, see you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.